What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall market. I'm also going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward, which you should be watching for in the charts as time progresses. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15. And the offer ends very soon in just 5 days. Anyways, for the market, I just wanted to say that right now the market is just consolidating, kind of shuffling right now. But I think we may see a very similar move to what we saw yesterday, and I'll talk more about that in just a couple of minutes. But just know that for our economic data, there's not really much coming out. We just had our bill auction come out. This was actually a little below expectations, but nothing too crazy. And then we also have some note auctions at 1 p.m. that are coming out. Besides that, everything else is going to be very, very minor. So what do I see for the charts? I just want to say that right now SPY is range bound. So if you look at our 1 hour time frame, we look at the levels, you'll see that we have 572 as our very, very tough resistance. We haven't been able to crack through that yet for today. And our support to watch for is near, excuse me, it's near our 20 EMA at 570.8. Now, if we were to lose that, we could be looking for the 569s to be tested, followed by a bounce. My gut is telling me that this might dip a little bit because when you look at the 5 minutes time frame, when you zoom in even more, you'll see that we are technically downtrending a bit on SPY. So I think that what's going to happen is we might dip a little bit lower towards the low 570s, if not 569, and then we could get a nice bounce after that. So we could be looking for a test of 570.8. If that fails us, we're looking for the 569 area, 569.8 or so, maybe a little bit below that. And there could be a nice bounce after that. That's the most likely case for what I am seeing. Now, we have resistance at 572, so make sure you watch your levels just to be safe. But there might be a small dip before we try to see the market bounce. That's the most likely case I'm looking at. I'm seeing the same thing on ES. We could be dipping back down towards, the 5780 area, maybe around that range. And then we could try to rebound again. Overall, the chart is bullish. It is going to eventually try to break past 5800, but there could be a small dip down towards 5780 and then eventually down to about 5770 before it tries to rebound again. So this is forming a nice cup so far. We could dip a little bit lower towards these supports before we try to rebound. So watch for this very, very carefully. That's most likely going to be what the case looks like. For Nvidia, we pushed all the way up to about this resistance near 125, and the chart is bullish overall. However, for the short term, we could see Nvidia just kind of consolidate between 122.8 and 125. That's going to be a very, very nice consolidation area. If we lose 122, we could be dipping back down towards 120. And if we break past 125, we could be pushing higher. So we have a nice inverse head and shoulders. If we try to break out higher, we're looking for basically 128. And we'll have to see how this ends up going. But I just think what's going to happen is we remain range bound between 122 and 125 for now. We could dip a bit before we try to rebound. And overall, I think we're going to be holding up just fine. We'll look for some range bound price action. We'll see how things end up going. For Bitcoin, we're just consolidating in this range. We have 63,500 as our supports. And then we have the next support at the 62,800 area. We have resistance around 64,000. We could be dipping a little bit lower before we make an attempt to rebound. So look for a little bit of a dip towards the 63,500 area before it tries to bounce, and watch and see how this ends up going. For other factors out there, we have Tesla. Like I said before, it's just range bound. It's range bound, but still more bullish in terms of its trend. So for now, when you look at the smaller time frames, Tesla has been trading sideways. Look at like this. We're still trading sideways like this for today. We have the 255 areas resistance and our supports at 254 and 252. I think we're just going to be range bound for now, but later on down the line, we could see an attempt to push up. It might dip back down to 254, consolidate for a bit before it sees a nice attempt to push up for 257. So watch for that. NQ is holding up decently, but just know that we have 20,200 as support and 20,000 flats. We have resistance around 20,400. My gut is telling me that this is on an uptrend, could dip down to 20,200 and then start to consolidate before it tries to bounce back up again. So watch and see if that ends up being the case. For the QQQ, the same thing is essentially going on. We have basically 488 as resistance. We have support around 485. I think we could be dipping to 485 to consolidate before it tries to bounce again. So we'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. But so far, we're doing a good job at holding up. For Aapl, we could be downtrending a little bit lower. We could retest 223.8 to 225, this range down here before it tries to rebound. So look for some consolidation between 220. 6 and 224. Maybe a little bit of a dip before it tries to rebound, but so far is holding up quite well. For the IWM, we look a little bit more bearish. I could be looking for a test of about the 218 area before it tries to bounce. So I just want to give you guys a heads up about that. We could be looking for 218, then a bounce on the IWM. For the QQQ, sorry, not the QQQ, for Coinbase, we could just continue to consolidate between 167 and 172. I'm not really expecting too much from this, so give this the time it needs as we develop. For Amazon, we could be dipping a little bit. We could actually make our way down closer to about 191.5 before it tries to bounce. We could retest our 20 EMA. So the 191s could be coming before an attempt to get back up. So I'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. For Meta, we look more bullish. We're trying to break out right here. We did dip down to the target of about 560 only to rebound. So we could be looking for a retest of 568 and eventually an attempt to get up to 575 as the chart looks more bullish. But look for a retest of 568 and a bounce is the most likely case. For Microsoft, we look more bullish. If we try to hold above 432, we could be looking for a push up towards 435. If we lose 428, we could be tipping, but this looks more bullish to me. I think that 435 could be an attempt for a target. There is a head and shoulders like structure on Google. If we end up losing 1628, could be dumping. We could try to push up higher for this 165 target before it tries to come back down. I think we're just range bound, so give this the time it needs. But with that being said, I just want to say I really appreciate you guys so much for listening. The market's looking a little bit heavy, so we could dip a little bit, but we should bounce after that. So look for a little bit of a dip before we try to bounce. I want to give you guys a heads up about that. I think we're going to be testing. If we don't hold above 570.8, we could be making our way down to about 569.8 to 569.5, around that range on SPY. So the 569s could be coming before this thing tries to officially bounce. It will bounce back up to about 571 after that. So that's the move that I'm seeing. I'll move back down to the 569s, then a bounce back up to 571. That's what I think SPY is going to most likely do, see a little bit of a dip and a bounce. Otherwise, we're just range bound if we remain where we currently are. All right. So with that being said, one more thing worth mentioning is the fact that the VIX is in a very, very critical place. We're continuing to fall on the VIX. When you look at the 4-hour time frame, you'll see that we still have that gap all the way down here. So we're coming down to fill this gap. I think the market could kind of like tip a bit as this rebounds, but then this might start dipping as the market pumps a little bit more. So look for a dip and a bounce in the stock markets, and then we'll see how things kind of go from here. So far, we're holding up well, so give this some time to develop. It's very choppy, but I think things are going to be fine nonetheless. Even if we do dip a little bit by 1 to 2 points, we should see a nice comeback afterwards. All right, so I'll see you guys in a couple of hours for another update. I'll be back maybe within 2 hours or so, maybe a little bit over that time period just to talk about what I see for the next updates. Until then, have a great day. Watch your levels very carefully. Be careful with this market, and peace out.